On July 21st, 2023, Doors had a special collaboration event with a game called Tower Heroes. This event massively updated Tower Heroes, bringing on a ton of new challenges, cosmetics, and characters to the game. However, for Doors, it received a smaller update, including some lobby changes, new paintings, and new badges. Anyways, overall, this collaboration event was quite fun, and it was probably one of the biggest Doors has ever seen. However, in addition to all of the additions I mentioned previously, a new entity was added to the game, one which would left to be forgotten and never fully implemented. Today, I would like to discuss this entity, including what exactly it is, as well as how it could be officially added to the game. With all of that being said, let's begin. Alrighty, so first I want to cover the Doors entities in general in terms of being enemies and tower heroes. You see, during this event, almost all of the entities seen in Doors became enemies which you could battle against in tower heroes. Now, although most of these enemies were actual entities in Doors, there were a few which were reskins or personified mechanics in the game. For example, one enemy which you could face was Timothy Jr., who just appears to be Timothy but they are wearing a hat. Another example would be Hands, which is the Tower Heroes version of the hands you can encounter during the Seek Chase sequences. Now, all of this is to be expected from a Doors-themed collaboration event of this size. However, an entirely new entity which is currently only exclusive to this event was also added too. This is Hole, the only official entirely unique Doors entity which doesn't actually appear in the game. They appear to be a large black mass with two hands and two glowing eyes, and as their name suggests, they come out of a hole. In Tower Heroes, they have a base health of 190, as well as a base speed of 2.25, meaning they are one of the more difficult enemies to face off against. However, they shouldn't be too hard if you have the right equipment. Now, as I had just stated, this entity, despite being officially part of the Doors event in Tower Heroes, doesn't actually appear in Doors, and I think that is a big missed opportunity. You see, although the developers have confirmed this entity won't be coming to the main game, I think that it could really fit well, especially in Floor 2, which is quite literally a giant hole underground. So, I have a few suggestions on how to implement this character into Doors, and I will be telling you my ideas. Alright, so to begin, I think that this entity should function almost like an upgraded version of Snare. What I mean by this is that it should be able to attack you while being stationary, as after all the entity is in fact a hole, and holes can't really move around. So how would this entity function with this in mind? Well, my first idea is that in some rooms you could find, well, an empty hole in the ground. If you go near this hole, the large black mass, so the entity itself, will jump out and try to drag you in. If it successfully manages to pull you into its hole, then you would die. However, there is a way to survive it. I think it would be pretty cool if you could free yourself from its grasp by repeatedly mashing the spacebar. And as for mobile or console players, a button would appear on the screen which they would have to mash in a certain amount of time to free themselves. If you do free yourself, the hole will retreat back to its pit, waiting for the next person who goes near it. Another more simpler idea I had in mind is that, like I had stated before, all it does is act as a larger and more powerful version of Snare. The way this would work is that if you went near the hole, the entity itself would grab you and drag you in. This would only deal some amount of damage as well as stun you for a certain amount of time. So the only real ways you could survive this is just walking around it or just sitting through being stunned. However, I feel like going this route would be too similar to Snare, and I much prefer my other suggestion over this one. My final idea for this entity is that it wouldn't appear in the mines at all, and instead it would just be in the lobby as a fun Easter egg. The entities Timothy and Window both appear as lobby Easter eggs, and I think Hole appearing too as a fun nod to the Tower Heroes collaboration event could be cool. Although, this route seems a little underwhelming to me, and I think the community would like it better if this entity was an actual entity instead of an Easter egg in the lobby. Anyways, that was basically all I wanted to say about Hole in Roblox Doors. I hope that one day this entity is officially implemented into the game, as their design is pretty cool. What do you guys think about this entity? Leave your opinions in the comments. With all of that being said, thank you all for watching and I hope you enjoyed.